Good evening guys, I'm just going to walk you through what I've been doing recently in creator mode. Now I usually don't mess around in creator mode. When I come into creator mode I usually have a focus and as you're going to see here, before I've even sort of processed what's going on, I know what I'm doing. I want these three barriers gone because as with all of my tracks lately I've been cutting down on tyre barriers when they can be replaced with floating barges, which you see here. Now most of you have probably been wondering how to get the floating barges just sticking out of the ground. Well, the first thing you need to do is find a flat surface. Usually the buildings will suffice. As you can see, as long as you don't put it too close to the edge, the centre of the building is flat. So it's only important that the middle of these two props are flat. That's all you need, and a small building rooftop like this one does the job. You don't. Some people say you need to go all the way over to the airport, but it's really not the case. As long as you've got a flat roof, you can do it. Now I've just put these two barges side by side, and then I entered prop templates and created a template. This is going to be template 1. I just click on one prop, click on the other prop and save that template. Then you go back to your props, you change your category to templates, and suddenly you have this template. So what I've done with the pitch is I've flipped it upside down, and what I'm doing now with the roll is rolling it. I'm rolling it onto its side because you can use barriers lying down, but you have a lot of excess prop on display and it can look quite ugly. So what I like to do, and because we placed it on a flat rooftop, you can guarantee that what you're seeing now is completely flat. There's no bump in it. I know it looks a bit bumpy, it's just the way the prop renders. So I like to tilt it on its side so that there's not a lot of excess showing behind it. Now what I'm doing here with the dumpster, press triangle on the dumpster to reset its rotation first. I'm giving these barges a centre of rotation. So I've just hovered the dumpster over the props and I'm going to create a new template. It's very important that you select the dumpster first because the first prop that you select will become the centre of rotation. Now you can feel free to delete all of those props after you've saved your new template, and you'll see I don't really hang around. Go back to your templates now. Your new template will be there waiting for you, and it's the dumpster. Everything revolves around the dumpster, and if you raise it up a little bit, you'll see that the barges start to appear beneath it, just like you had up on the rooftop there. What do I want to say about that? Yeah, before you save the dumpster as a template, raise it up a little bit so that you've got a gap between the dumpster and the barges. That way you can raise it out of the ground as low as you would like. Now as you can see here, I've put a very quick barrier together, and that is a nice flat edge. I know it doesn't look to be, but again that's just the way that the prop renders. It's definitely flat because we built it on a flat surface, so there's no ridge there, and that's how we put a barrier together. Now as you can see here, I'm using the same point of rotation, the dumpster, but in a more horizontal manner. So this is how people have been raising the barges up out of the ground for tracks, you know, to smoothen out bumpy corners and make nice smooth corners. Honestly, once you put a dumpster on a couple of props to create that center of rotation, there isn't a lot that you can't do. Like you can do this point of rotation thing with any prop. You just put any prop near another prop and that becomes its center of rotation, as long as you save that prop first in the template. What I'm currently doing here is creating a flat surface for me to place a checkpoint. I just wanted to move that checkpoint a little bit. Once you're done, don't forget to delete the dumpster, delete the barges. There they go. So you've got all three props back again, and I've created a checkpoint which would have been impossible to place otherwise. Whilst I'm at it, I just delete that fruit stand to make that route a little bit faster, because I've been watching people play, and I'm paying attention to what routes need editing and changing. Right now I'm just basically showing you what's possible with a point of rotation. Like if you put a dumpster on any of these props, it's pretty much limitless what you can do, and that's the beauty of creator mode right now. And any of the angles that you just saw there are all accepted now. You can place props anywhere. So what I'm doing now, I've just put that ramp there to try and make this route a bit clearer, and I want to add a sign to make the route even clearer. However, when I hover over the ramp, I press triangle to reset its rotation, but for some reason that deleted my prop. I don't know why that happened. Sometimes if you press triangle over your prop, it will delete it when square is the delete button. Don't know why, but nevertheless you get a freebie of me having to replace that ramp. Again, I'm just using the dumpster as a point of rotation. The prop beneath it is really easy to maneuver and use. Now what I'm trying to do is use as few props as possible, and as you know, this template is comprised of 3 props, 2 barges side by side and the dumpster. So I'm now going to delete one of the barges, and I see that I've just fallen short, so I'm going to try that again. I'm going to reposition that. It doesn't matter that part's sticking out of the top, because I'm going to delete it. I accidentally delete the sign there, and then I delete the prop, and this time it seems to have worked. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Always best to go into first person to have a closer look, and that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm just hammering the touchpad trying to enter first person. Sometimes finding some flat ground to do that is quite difficult, but here we go. It doesn't matter that that's part sticking out on the right. That seems to be quite perfect. Look, it's not sticking out of the top. If you ran up that, you would be able to climb over the railings. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm just going to replace the sign that I accidentally deleted just before. And now I want to do what I originally wanted to do earlier. I want to signpost this route, because people aren't taking it. So what I did first was I went into first person and I said, why are people not taking this route? Why can't people see that? Maybe it's the fountain that's blocking the way, because everybody seems to run to the left. So I'm trying to make this right route a little bit more obvious. And in the end I concluded that putting a sign on it and having the new ramp, which seems a bit more obvious, seemed to be the best way. So I'm just looking at it one more time here. I was quite happy with the result. That seems to lead to that. People would jump over there. All is fine and dandy. So I've made my changes, my personal changes. But how do you test this thing? I mean, it's all great and everything, being able to put these props everywhere, but can you get a vehicle around it? Well, that's what this part of the video aims to answer, because you may or may not know this, but in creator mode you cannot leave your vehicle ever. So if you're making a running race, you can imagine why not being able to leave your vehicle could, serve as a problem. So you have to do the full thing on a BMX, which isn't the easiest of tasks at times, as you're about to see. Sometimes you have to go back the way you came to clock checkpoints. Right now, if you're familiar with the track, you're probably wondering where I'm going. But the next checkpoint is up on a roof. So while you're all climbing the front of that building, I'm heading to my secret little ramp, which is behind the scenes, and performing all sorts of BMX jumps to sneak through the fences and climb to the tops of roofs. This is how I do it. This is how I give the track a full run. I can double clock this checkpoint. It gets both of them at the same time, which is quite convenient. So now the next one is down on the ground right at the end of these routes. It actually looks quite easy at this stage. I've basically cut half of the track out. But here's an example of how infuriating this process can be. Just when one wall is just ever so slightly too high. So usually, honestly, I do this first time, I get up there without any problems, but for some reason it took me quite a while there. And that is pretty much that, because as you know now, the rest of it to the next section is just road, so I'm pretty sure you don't want to see me cycle along the road.
All right.
If you're not familiar, the fastest way to cycle is actually to jump and lean forward. So that's why I'm doing that and not just cycling. But anyway, here we are at the next difficult part. I've made a mess of things already. Now I clocked the checkpoint there because when you're on the bike you're a little bit taller. So thankfully I don't have to climb all of those red steps. But the next checkpoint is within the film studio and at the highest point of the map that we're going to have to reach. Now I made this map way back before the creator mode update came out. I did this the hard way, and that's why I love this track so much. The amount of effort I've went through to get this to work. Right now what I'm trying to do is climb the building, and these steps are the best way for me to do it, because as soon as you reach the highest point of your track you are always able to drop down to hit the checkpoints in one way or another. So as long as you have access to the highest point of the track, in this case it's the building for me, it's easy. So how could you do that nowadays? Well, you just use your barges and your point of rotation, and you can easily line a barge, you know how long they are, going up to this building. I could have done this with one prop, just have a big barge go up and cycle up that and cycle off it. I used a ramp as you saw back there, and that's helped me access the checkpoint. I just dropped down here. The checkpoint's kind of the other way. I remembered that I'd deleted this fruit stand now, so it was an easier access for me. So I clocked that checkpoint, and then I thought I was ready to go, but then I completely forgot that now I can't get back out of that way. So back we go, back inside. There's always another little way that you can go. For me it was through the door here. This is at the bottom of the secret hatch and ladder, which is a way down actually. It's quite an underused way down. But that's it really. There's always a way to do it. If you need to, all you need is a way to access the highest building on the BMX, and you can quite easily do that with the new creator mode. It's really easy. Pull a wheelie and the job's a good one. I hope you've learned something in this video. Thanks for watching, and see you later.